This young man is from South Carolina making $187,000 a year. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Let's get into it so I can leave y'all with hopefully some inspiration on how it is that you can do things more differently.
Life as a travel nurse can be challenging. I'm away from my family, I'm away from my dog. I'm basically away from everything that I call home. I'm way outside of my comfort zone, usually in different cities, different states. You always have to be flexible, adjustable, and just kind of willing to learn right then and there. And if you don't know, I try to ask questions.
29-year-old travel nurse making $187,000 a year. Now, for those of you that are not familiar, right? I did a live stream inside of the Patreon last year where I had 3 travel nurses that were all bag chasers, dudes that I coached, dudes that paid off all of their debt, that I pushed them to start getting into sound investments such as real estate, not no wholesaling, not none of that other shit, not saying that that's bad, but I pushed them to start buying assets instead of buying debt or buying things that substantiates more debt in order to support their lifestyle. They paid off their debt. But they also gave the game inside of the Patreon of how it is that you can get into travel nursing, or how it is that you need to evaluate whether or not you're best for this particular profession, because there is a lot of money and job security that comes along with it. If you are a bag chaser and you have not watched that particular episode, it is in the Patreon of the 3 male, and they were all men, travel nurses that are bag chasers, and they gave the game on what the industry is like, how much they work, how much money they make, what it takes in order to get into the industry. Make sure you watch that video inside of the Patreon. It is chock full of gems. It is an awesome live stream that we did.
My name is Aspen Tucker. I'm 29 years old. I make $187,000 a year, and I live in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'm a registered nurse who has transitioned into a travel nurse. So I've been doing this about 3 years now. And I was working at a staff job local in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
So he was making $30 an hour as a regular staff nurse, and his contract nursing positions pay $70 per hour. Now, I don't know a whole lot, all of the ins and outs, but I can only go by what it was that was communicated on the Patreon and what it is that's communicated to me when I get these coaching sessions with these guys and I'm advising them on how it is that they need to manage their money more effectively. They go into different states that then pay them a per diem for their housing. Different states pay significantly more depending on where it is that they travel nursing to. Some states or some places are a little bit more remote, less to do there, which then they have to incentivize it more for them to come there, but they also get to travel. And again, depending on how it is that they negotiate their contract, they make a lot of tax-free money that comes along with becoming a travel nurse. So there's so many incentives in addition to what's being paid as a salary for the travel nurse. And then you also need to manage your money more effectively when it comes to being 1099 employee versus being a traditional employee. But let's continue.
My mom and stepdad were travel nurses, so I knew it's something I could do. But my mom started traveling back in 2006, and I remember she was making $3,000 a week at the time, and it blew my mind. My mom was always in my ear, was like, Aspen, you should pursue nursing, you should do travel nursing. You like to travel, and then you can see different places and still be a nurse and still help people. So I knew then and there, I was like, when my opportunity comes, I have to jump on this opportunity. I cannot wait on it. The time that I became a travel nurse was almost like the golden age because the money was really high at that time.
COVID.
Of course, it was smack dab in the mid of COVID.
Travel nurses made so much money during the pandemic. They were making so much money and they were so overwhelmed with the opportunities that some of them even quit because they couldn't handle even with all of the money that came with it. So it's also a hustler's job too.
So you needed nurses everywhere. The demand was high. It hasn't slowed down any. The money has dropped some in some aspects when it comes to assignments, but it's never going to be a dry spell.
So if you want to travel and jump around all the time, um, this is your opportunity to be able to do so, especially if you don't have any attachments like small kids. If you're a single person and you don't mind working and putting the time in, this is the perfect field for you.
Since I only try to work 8 or 9 months out of the year, I try to work as much as possible. So usually I work a lot of overtime. So normally I'm doing between 48 hours and 60 hours throughout a work week. Essentially pays more to work more. So of course I try to work more. What does help a lot of times is that I have a huge support system. People that can look after my house, look after my cars, look after my dog. Another big help is that I have a supportive girlfriend who's also a travel nurse. So sometimes we can take travel contracts together. Sometimes we can take them separate. But it just depends because she understands the lifestyle just as much, what comes with working all the time and not being in a familiar environment. I have 4.
Now, this is the part that I want to see because I want to see how he manages his money. So we know that he makes a lot of money. We know he makes about $187,000 a year. I want to see how he manages his money, okay?
Credit cards currently, I have a Discover card, I have a Bank of America card, I have a Truist credit card as well as a Capital One card. The biggest thing that I usually put on my credit cards is the rental car, and I usually use the Truist credit card because I can transfer that from my checking and pay it off interchangeably with that.
So I've said this myself. A lot of people said because I showed y'all the Amex Platinum, but now I really only use one credit card. I'm not an advocate for debt, right? I'm not an advocate for credit cards at all. I don't even care if you're paying off the interest. I don't care about the points, none of that. But I have to have it because I travel so much, and you need it in order to be able to reserve hotel rooms, rental cars, and all that other type of stuff. So I don't have any problem so far with what it is that he's saying.
I've always been taught to any expense that I accrue on those to always pay it off. Even if it's a $13 or $23, $30 balance, I pay it off then just to kind of try to stay away from the interest with those.
All right, so let's see what we got here. We got housing at $2,700 a month, okay. I don't agree with the green. Support for friends and family, $1,600 a month. I'm sorry. We don't give out free rides. $1,600 a month in order to be able to support friends and family? That's a no-go. That's a no-go. Nope. $1,600 back in my money, back in my budget. $1,600 for discretionary. Okay, that just means that he's having a good time. I'm reading super chats in a minute. I'm gonna come back down to the bottom. Phone $105, subscriptions $132. Okay, insurance $893, travel and entertainment $1,000. But I thought that the discretionary is the same thing as travel and entertainment. So we looking at $2,600 to basically do whatever it is that you want to do. Let me see.
Credit cards.
Food $1,400. Hold on, let me back up a little bit. Food $1,400.
$23.
And transportation $1,600. Food $1,400. Transportation $1,600. Let me see something one more time.
$30 balance, I pay it off then just to kind of try to.
I don't see anything investment though. So he's spending $11,000 per month, but I don't see anything when it comes to investing. If you are a man that's not married and you don't have no kids, and this is one of the reasons why I say it's the difference between making a lot of money and understanding how money works. If you just make a lot of money and that's the end of the conversation, we got a problem. I see nothing that says investing. I don't see anything. $1,400 in food, $1,600 in discretionary, travel and entertainment $1,000, insurance $893, support for family and friends $1,600. All of that money should be going into investing. What do you mean family and friends? I don't understand that. And then at the bottom,
stay away from the interest with those credits.
$1,600 in transportation. You're a travel nurse. What do you mean $1,600 in transportation? I don't see anything in 401ks. I don't see anything in IRAs. I don't see anything in a traditional IRA. I don't see a Roth IRA. I don't see nothing.
Credit cards.
Maybe he's gonna add some additional context. There we go. He owns 2 properties in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So he does have some. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's doing it the right way, but the fact that he's even in real estate, I got to give him a little bit of credit.
I like to try to have a good balance. I like to try to live for the now. I'm going to eat at nice restaurants, enjoy a good, decent quality of life, and I'm going to travel a lot, but also to investing in real estate.
I like this guy. Why does he have 2 additional vehicles? I don't understand. Why are you... Okay, so if you got 2 vehicles, why are you paying a $470 a month car note? Y'all just be wasting money, man. Y'all literally just be wasting money, man. It's just... It ain't say that he needed it for a separate business or anything like that. He just throwing money away. I mean, which he can do whatever it is that he want to do, but he got like a 1998 Mustang.
The reason I have 3 cars is each one serves a purpose. And then my Ford Mustang is just a more pleasure. It's convertible. Sometimes when I'm home, I let the top down and unwind a little bit and relax and enjoy it.
Stop it.
Travel nursing can be rough navigating.
He had like a dusty Civic, a busted Mustang, and then paying $470 a month for a pickup truck. Okay.
Health insurance. As soon as your contract ends, you have like a grace period of maybe a week or 2 for your health insurance to end. So I try to think smart and I try to get everything done while I'm under that contract. Just an example of that, recently, I had my wisdom teeth pulled. They were hurting, but I didn't want to do it when I didn't have a contract.
And he got $50,000 in student loan debt. Come on, fam. Get the debt off. Get the debt off, bro. You make too much. If you're making $187,000, first of all, a lot of that's getting ate up by taxes because he's probably not actually doing the things that's in his best interest from an investment perspective in order to lower his adjusted gross income. Adjusted gross income for people in the chat is how much money you make at the end of the day when you minus out the business expenses or you add the business expenses plus what it is that you made on your regular job. So, for example, if you make $100,000 a year and then your business make $20,000 a year, what you're going to be taxed on, whether you pay taxes out of that business income or not, is $120,000 a year. That's your adjusted gross income. Conversely, let's say that you invested or you started a new business this year and it wasn't profitable because you had a lot of startup expenses, but you made $100,000 a year. And let's say it cost you $30,000 in order to start up that business and you got all of the bookkeeping and everything goes well. Well, that means that your adjusted gross income is $70,000 a year. Otherwise, you're going to be paying taxes on $100,000 a year. So if he makes $187,000 a year and he doesn't have a business, he doesn't have anything that actually lowers his tax burden by investing in things that ultimately will pay off, such as assets and business expenses that then justify you growing something else that's going to be residual income long term, then all he doing is giving away a ton of money over into the federal government in the highest tax brackets as a single man. And this is why I say it's the difference between understanding how money works and making a lot of money. Because just because you're making a lot of money, now he driving around in that old ass Mustang, and then y'all gonna be saying, well, rich people drive around in Honda Civics and Mustangs. Some of the dumbest people that I know with money is doctors. Honest to God. So I've got some of the people that were the worst with money are the ones that made the most money, and they were doctors. I'm going to read Super Chat shortly. Thank y'all for contributing to the platform.
I was brought up on the ideology that debt is a part of society no matter what. And I believe in good debt versus bad debt. Education for me was a good debt. Having $50,000 in student loans is a lot, but it was necessity to be a registered nurse.
Think about what he just said. It's the same mentality that a lot of y'all have when y'all fight me every single day. Think about what he's saying. It's the same mentality that y'all have when y'all fight me every single day. I was raised to believe that debt is just a part of what it is that we do. It's the thing that I was telling y'all about the banks when we first jumped on this live stream. They've programmed you to think that debt is a good thing. It's not. You don't have to be in debt just because that's the way that they programmed you to be in society. What did I tell y'all in the beginning of this live stream of how banks work? What did I tell y'all in the beginning of this stream about how banks work? And no matter how much money you make, you're still taking you with you. And he's programmed to believe that debt is supposed to be a part of his fabric and his makeup. And so he's going to pay interest rates on his car. He's going to pay interest rates on things that actually don't make no sense. He's going to continue to keep the student loan payment instead of paying that junk off. He'd have so much more income to be able to throw into the things that's going to allow for him to not have to work for the rest of his life once he gets to a certain age, which he can then work if he wants to, but he doesn't have to work. But it's because he believes that debt is good. And a lot of y'all think the same way. And y'all argue me down every single day about how debt is a good thing. Oh, man, it's debt. Don't worry about it. Why would I do that? Okay, cool. It's going to have you driving a 1998 Mustang.
I was able to go straight into ownership just because of living at home, and my mom is still in that principle: save your money until you can buy a home.
I like that idea. He should have saved more than $10,000. If you're making $187,000 a year, you should save more than $10,000 while you're living at home, so you can put a bigger down payment on your house and you don't have to pay PMI. PMI is private mortgage insurance, and if usually most people try to put 3.5% down so that they can get their first property, well, again, you're giving away free money because it's riskier for them to lend to you because you didn't actually put 20% down. And for most of y'all, you get a lower interest rate if you get a 15-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage, which then you pay more than double the interest. But a lot of y'all are so focused on the payments instead of how much money you're giving away to the banks. Listen, y'all, we got to do the thing that's in our best interest. And they want you. They want you from a cultural perspective, from a black people's perspective, white people, whoever. They want you to be enslaved by debt. You don't have to be subjected to this whole mindset.
What made buying real estate in Spartanburg attractive is just the low cost, as well as that if something breaks down, if something happens here, I have family here that can help. I bought this place $93,000 and I put down around $4,000. So I still had about $6,000, I believe, left. After that, I had saved $10,000, so I had money left to kind of furnish the place, little things like that. I have 2 free bedrooms here that I will be Airbnb-ing out as well.
So if he'd have put 20% down, he could have stayed in his parents' crib for a little bit longer and saved $20,000 instead of putting $4,000 down. But the whole 20 bands down. Matter of fact, you make $180,000 a year. Man, I would have stayed at the crib and just paid off the whole crib. I would have stayed hustling and just paid off the whole crib, honestly. It ain't nothing wrong with staying in your mama's basement. Listen, fellas, don't let no woman shame you into not doing the thing that's in your best interest. Ain't nothing wrong with staying at the crib. I did it. I was already killing it, and I stayed at the crib. I was just like, you know what? We comfortable. Who is it that I'm trying to? And then we outgrew it. Leslie started getting big. My daughter started getting big. Okay, well, we got to go and do something different now. But he could have bought that whole place. Wasting money.
It kind of helped my monthly income as well as sustain it. The way I look at it, if the places are going to be here, I might as well have them being paid for. I put down 20%, which is around $57,000.
There you go.
I wanted to do that to keep my payments low. I currently have someone moving in there, and they're gonna pay me $900 a month. And the other side, I plan on Airbnb, but currently my mortgage with the duplex is $1,200 a month.
Don't you do it.
About friends and family.
Don't do it.
Sometimes people would consider it too much, but I always followed my grandfather's blueprint.
No.
Like, he helped everybody.
No.
And I think that's the way I try to
No,
do it.
don't do it,
I
sir.
have one friend that is incarcerated that I try to give money to. The reason I do that,
we always got a homie in jail. Putting money on this nigga books. JPay. A lot of y'all not familiar with JPay. Y'all know what JPay is? Y'all know what JPay is? A lot of y'all not familiar with JPay. It's always, listen, feeling the need. No, he got a mama. He probably got a baby mama. He got a daddy. Let them take care of him. but you spending $1,600 a month in order to make sure that you take care of your incarcerated friends and JPay? Nah, fam. That's what the system is for.
It's because I know at the end of the day that could be me.
No, it can't.
I know at the end of the day
it could never be me. I could never be in prison. I could never be in prison. I could never be in prison. That cannot be me. Stop wishing this death on y'all lives, man. Stop wishing this duress on yourselves. No, it cannot be you. It cannot be anybody that you know. It's some people whose families never, ever go to prison and never get arrested and never go to jail.
A lot of times when you come from our communities, especially, poor, being African American in our communities, you don't have a lot of opportunities. So any way I can help, I'm always going to be willing to help, because I know on the flip side, if he could do it for me, he would do it for me as well.
How you gonna create a nursing scholarship and you still got debt? Okay, enough of this foolishness. When I tell y'all often at times that you need to help yourself before you try to help somebody else, be selfish before you can be selfless, you sitting up there with all of this debt and he feel obligated to be able to. He acting like he me. He acting like he balling. I created a scholarship. Man, if you don't pay off your student loans and get yourself together.
When it comes to giving back, it's essential. I could cut costs probably by not helping people as much, but that's not who I am. Even the shirt I have on now saying,
do it.
Love will save the world.
No.
I believe in giving back. I don't believe in ever being selfish with money, because money comes and.
No, you got to be selfish so you can be selfless. There's nothing wrong with giving back, but you give back after you get yourself together, not the minute before. You paying for your homies in jail, giving out scholarships like you Bill Gates or something. What they do? What the
goes, but the relationships that you make last forever. I don't ever want to be a person that acts like I'm better than anybody, tries to be better than anybody. My plan is always to help others around me.
See, this is what they want me to do. They want me to stay humble and say, oh, Anton, what are you continuing to do for the black community? Helping myself, helping my bag chasers, and helping my family. The best way that I can help the black community is make sure that I'm not a part of the problem. The best way that I can help the black community is to make sure that I'm not a part of the problem. I don't have survivor's guilt. I got survivor's balling tendencies. I don't feel guilty. You ain't never got to worry about me giving to a nigga that don't like me. You ain't never got to worry about me giving to a dude that don't like me. Unlikely.
Look like me, that come from similar backgrounds to me, to help them get on a better path so we all can be successful together. When I'm not working, I'm a leisure person, and the first thing I'm doing is booking a vacation. If I'm going to work hard, I'll try to play harder.
All right, enough is enough. I don't need to say anymore. Listen, guys, we need to be a little bit more strategic with what's going on in society and with our money. We need to make more informed decisions as far as our investments. And we do need to be selfish before we selfless. If you need to get in touch with me personally, email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I'm going to be tapped in with Pocket Watching with JT because I'm going to get that webinar set up. And then within the next 2 days, I have a video specifically for Patreon members that allow for you guys to continue to level up. And I'm going to be giving y'all the game.